Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to, from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see.
Democrats have an option here. They can complain about what's happening under the Donald Trump administration like the media is doing, or they can come up with their own insane ideas. And they're deciding to go that path. I want to share some of those insane ideas with you. Bakari Sellers is a CNN contributor who I think has been on a bender, it appears. He's looking rough. And I want to share with you his thought process on how all of this should go down. And I just want you to listen to the desperation and insanity in these people's voices and the craziness in their ideas. Listen to this.
Liberal. And so I hope that Joe Biden makes the next 10 weeks as consequential as he can. I don't care about drawing outside the lines or what Republicans may think about it. This is within your purview. You can actually do it, and you should do it. And, you know, one more thing, John, is you have a hell of a vice president right there who has a legal pedigree to sit on the Supreme Court, and let Republicans go crazy and ape. I'm even mentioning that option.
You floating? Are you floating? This is 7:39 a.m. on the East Coast. Did Bakari Sellers just float Vice President Kamala Harris as a potential Supreme Court nominee?
Not only am I floating it, but I want to stir up everything. I want people's heads to explode this morning so we go into the weekend just knowing that the chaos has not ended just yet.
Okay, that was Friday, and Bakari Sellers is going completely insane and saying that we should allow Kamala Harris to be put on the Supreme Court. Now, first you'd have to have Sonia Sotomayor step down, and she said no to that over the weekend. So they now have to try round 2 on this, another crazy idea, which is equally as nuts, but also kind of hilarious.
He is looking for. That is my question. I'll start with you.
Joe Biden's been a phenomenal president. He's lived up to so many of the promises he's made. There's one promise left that he could fulfill, being a transitional figure. He could resign the presidency in the next 30 days, make Kamala Harris the president of the United States.
Whoa.
It would absolve her from being able to, from having to oversee the January 6th transition, right, of her own defeat. And it would make sure that it would dominate the news at a point where Democrats have to learn drama and transparency and doing things that the public want to see. Is the time. This is the moment for us to change the entire perspective of how Democrats
this
operate.
is now jumped from an internet meme to a Sunday morning show.
Jamal's out here right now.
Congratulations.
Season of House of Cards.
I thought you were going to say, what about the Supreme Court? That's also out there.
Well, the Supreme Court might happen. I don't know if it will, but I think this is something that's...
None of this is happening. Well, let's be as clear as we possibly can. None of this happened. And I love Scott Jennings on CNN because he's the guy who said, oh, this is like House of Cards. That's exactly what this is. This is not a game. I mean, these people are out of their minds. Listen to what they're saying. They're suggesting that you should take Kamala Harris, someone who never won a primary and who lost a presidential election, and you should reward her with one of 2 things. One, a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. I just think I actually would like to see Kamala Harris confirmation process. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it. Kamala Harris, could you read Cat in the Hat to us, please? Could she do it? Can Kamala Harris read? I'm not sure, but that'd be one of the questions I would ask. Is that something she could pull off? But I'd love to hear them talk about legal philosophy and what she believes. Is she an originalist or is she a textualist? Which is she? Does she know what those things mean? Does she have any understanding of what those terms are? I don't think that she does, but I think Kamala Harris is stupid. So I may be wrong, and she could prove us wrong. The other one, I think, is even better. Let's make her the first DEI president. And I mean that. Barack Obama was not a DEI president. Okay? Barack Obama won that election. Barack Obama got out there. He fought for it. He fought Hillary Clinton. He won. He fought the Clinton machine. Then he came in and he fought and beat the guy who was supposed to be next, right? That's what they told you? John McCain was supposed to be next. And he went in and he beat him. He wasn't the DEI president. And he held that seat for 8 years. won another election. Now, granted, he was wiped out across the board and all these other things, but he wasn't a DEI president. Taking Kamala Harris, a loser, and putting her on the seat, the throne of power in the United States, in the Oval Office, solely so you can say she's the first what? Woman, Jamaican, Indian, black woman? Yeah, okay, fine, great. Check all those boxes off. Let's do it. But understand that if you do that, we all know exactly what's happening. There's no question, there's no suggestion that this is about something else like her qualifications or anything like that. It's not about that. She's just there. Now, if they were smart about this, which they clearly are not, the answer would have been to have done this months ago and let her be president of the United States while she's running for office. I'm glad they didn't do that. I am. I'm completely glad they didn't do it. But now that it doesn't matter, I mean, what does it matter? What is the difference between what we're going to see out of a Joe Biden presidency and we would see out of a lame duck DEI presidency from Kamala Harris? What would be the difference? Nothing. Nothing. Some people are saying let her appoint herself to the Supreme Court. Yes, let's do all of this. Everything. Absolutely everything. Appoint herself to the Supreme Court. Make herself president for life. All these things. Let's go. Go all in. And remember, these are the same people that said that Donald Trump would have an out-of-control presidency. He would never leave the White House. He would break our institutional norms. And the country would be worse off for it. Yet, these are the things they're suggesting. And why should she do it? Because she got drubbed on Tuesday? That's what we're supposed to do. Last week, she got beaten down, so now we're supposed to just say, okay, how can we continue allowing Kamala Harris to be a factor in our life? I say put her on the Supreme Court. Sonia Sotomayor is 70-something years old. They want to take her off. It's not going to happen. Sonia Sotomayor said, I'm not going anywhere. These Supreme Court justices do not play around. They know exactly what they have, and they know that if she decides that she's just going to step down because they tell me to, they know that that is a loser position. And they have absolutely no desire to go down that path, nor should they, because it's a loser. You do that, and you know damn well that what happened with your term on the Supreme Court is you were just holding it for another loser. And they pushed you out. And you know who made a great statement about this? Out of all people? Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, it just seems like I don't want to do any of this. I don't want any part of this. This is dumb nonsense, and I'm not going to play. And that's exactly what some of these Democrats
Senator,
need to do.
quickly before I let you
They're
go,
making it clear. And guess who's pushing them? They're not being pushed by activists. I mean, okay, fine. Maybe they are being a little pushed by activists. And what I mean by activists is they're being pushed by activists within their own party. Those are the ones pushing them. Those activists may be pushing them. Fine. That's great. But they're being pushed by lunatics in their own party to go down this path. And I am here for it. Let's see more of that. In fact, listen to what Bernie Sanders had to say here. Because what Bernie Sanders has to say here is actually really, really smart. And he wants no part of this. Check this out.
Senator, quickly before I let you go, I do want to ask you about the Supreme Court. Some Democrats behind the scenes quietly talking about the possibility, should Justice Sotomayor step down, to allow President Biden to appoint someone who's younger. She's only 70 years old. Is that something that you would support? Do you think she should step down?
No, I don't.
Have you heard any talk of this?
A little bit, yes. I don't think it's a sensible approach.
And you don't think it's a sensible approach?
Correct.
All right. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much. We really appreciate
Isn't
it.
that hilarious? She has absolutely he has no interest in even playing the game. No interest in playing that game. Bernie Sanders is like, I'm not doing this. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm not doing this. I have no desire to do this. And I'm not playing your stupid, silly little game here. No, I'm not doing it. And he's like, this is dumb. This is ridiculous. We're not doing this. No, we should not. No, we shouldn't. He's had enough of this. He has had enough of this. And it's nice to see someone finally say, this is dumb, instead of trying to placate the people who are completely insane. And the amazing part about this is the anchor on NBC News. The anchor who's pushing this is taken aback by the idea that Bernie Sanders wants no part of this. Not because she's shocked that he wants no part of it. She's upset with him. She wants him to say, yeah, we're going to appoint Kamala Harris to the Supreme Court. We're definitely going to do that. We are going to push Kamala Harris to the Supreme Court, and then maybe we'll make her president as well. These are the things they actually think are mainstream thoughts, as opposed to stupid thoughts that shouldn't be expressed. There are things that should be discussed via your text message threads where other people say, I'd keep that to yourself. That's what these should actually be. And instead, they're going out there and they're putting them on NBC. So you have them floating these ideas in the media, trying to ramp the pressure campaign up on Sonia Sotomayor. And Sonia Sotomayor said, no, I'm a wise Latina. I'm not doing that. You have Bernie Sanders being asked about this by members of the media who want him to do it. And he says, no, we're not doing this. And the question then becomes, do they stop doing that? Or do they try to ramp the pressure up? And we know what the answer is. They're going to ramp the pressure up. They're going to try to make it the position of the mainstream left that Kamala Harris should be rewarded for a good game. And you know what? Nothing says DEI like the soccer games with your kids where they don't keep score and everyone slaps hands and says good game. And that's this. That's what this is. We didn't do that on my soccer team. You got basketball tryouts on Tuesday. Grant may not even make my team. So we don't do that in our games. But for some reason, the modern American left, the media and their Democrats, they're doing a couple of things. They're trying their best to suggest that there was something untoward about the election. Now, they can't come out and say it because they've dug themselves in so deep on the 2020 and the January 6th stuff that they cannot go full out. So they're letting their lunatics kind of nibble on the edges. And if something catches fire, they'll cover it, but they will not lead the charge on that. So what they're trying to do is subvert the incoming administration by doing stuff like this. We're going to appoint Kamala Harris, which I don't think does anything in the form of the presidency. I want them to do that, actually. I'd love to see it. And then on the other side, they want to make her a Supreme Court justice. Now, that could have long impact because the fear is Sonia Sotomayor will not make it through an entire Trump term, and then Trump will have, a 7-2 majority? And they don't want that. They're terrified about that. So, tough. This is the bed you made. You went this path, and now you lost. And now, afterwards, you want to change the game. And I don't think that's going to work.